Hi, Chanel.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm good. And Michaela, where are you from? Are you from the co-naming group or?
Yes, I am.
All right. Nice to meet you. I'm Debbie.
I'm Sheila.
Hi, Jim. Hey, Bruce.
Hello, hello.
Will you have screen sharing abilities or will I be sharing my screen? Are you
You
be allowing us access to share our
yeah,
screen?
yeah. When we
Yeah.
get there, you will have, yeah.
Okay.
We're just gonna do some DOT updates and then we'll move to the co-naming.
Gotcha.
Oh, good evening.
Hey, Bruce.
So is Judge going to do 62 tonight? Just saying.
Okay. Hi, Jay. Hi, Lyle.
Hi.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, everyone.
Lyle, you exist.
I do. How are you, Bruce?
Good. Long time no see. How have you been?
Pretty good. Busy. Very busy.
Yeah, I know. It's a whole new world.
Yeah. You told me. How have you been?
Busy too. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Mary. I'm just gonna give it to like 7:05 to see if we just get a few more committee members and specifically Leo. Has anybody seen or talked to Robin in a while? Was he at the GM the other night? Do we not remember?
I don't remember.
Don't remember either. Because I had to sign off early. Too much pain.
Is it getting better?
Well, I mean, It's only been, it's only a week post-op, so
What did you have, Mary?
I had elbow
Oh,
surgery, torn ligament repair,
Oh.
torn ligaments, I should say. So I've got a splint now from above the elbow to the wrist.
and that's your writing arm.
Of course, and my typing arm and my, it's my everything hand. I can't, I have barely any use of the hand because it's attached to the arm that I can't use. I can't lift anything,
Mm.
so it's tricky.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for running a couple of minutes late.
Oh, no problem. Hey, Leo.
How are you, Debbie?
Good. Thanks, Chanel. All right. Well, I am going to call the meeting to order then. It's 7:05 p.m. This is the October meeting of Traffic and Transportation. My name is Debbie Nababian, the chair of the committee. I am joined by Leo Jimenez, the assistant chair of the committee, Jim Berlin, Bruce Robertson, Mary Anderson, Jay Mazer. Have I missed anybody from the committee? I don't think so. Hopefully Robin, and we should have a new board member at the meeting, will catch up to us. And Leo, you'll be able to be on notes? Did I just say that?
Yes, I'm sorry, Debbie. I'm sorry for not responding as well. I was in Massachusetts. I came back, had a really bad cold, was out for like a week. But yes, I'll be taking the meeting minutes and sending it to you. So.
Okay, thank you. And Leo, you back me up because I'm sometimes I don't keep on top of the Q&A as well as I might when I start talking. So
I'll be on top of it.
if you see something hanging out there that you think I should know, just chime in.
Will do.
So we have 3 things I'd like to do tonight. One, while we have Lyle here from DOT, what I'd like to do is just go through an update on a few outstanding items. We don't have anything big going on, but just be able to do a touch base since he wasn't able to join us last month, but he did chase down various answers that he took from Jackie and myself after that meeting. And so I am going to allow either 1 or 2 members of the community that wanted to make a statement, kind of old business related, on things that related to the update from DOT. I'm going to allow them to speak, and then we'll go into the co-naming, and then we'll conclude with the budget ranking. So what I'd like to do before I pass to Lyle, is just go through basically the punch list of things that he followed up on. I'm not going to be exhaustive because some of the stuff I don't think is relevant for the whole group. And then we can fill in from anything we need from Lyle before we let him go. First off, we had questions about whether DOT had been sort of notified by parks relative to the closure of the Greenway, and to the extent that the workaround would involve DOT. And Lyle had reported that they hadn't gotten any formal notification from parks. I don't have an update. I thought that was going to close at some point in October, but I actually don't have a latest and greatest. So if there's anything to share, we'll certainly do so in the future, but there's really nothing has gotten to DOT on the matter. On Amber Charter, if people remember, we had touched base, we had spoken briefly about it at the last meeting, but also going back maybe a year and a half ago when we spoke about it, there had been a request to take a look at it, putting a stop sign at the top of the 218th steps where there's nothing. And Lyle reported that that still is sitting with it's called the intersection control unit, a DOT. And then another thing that sort of didn't come up directly with a member of the community, but it sort of somewhat relates, is intersection control. We had also sort of talked with DOT, and this came in through Jody Herson, about the whole section of Riverside Drive, the upper roadway between 158th and 165th. And that also is sort of sitting with intersection control units. So I would hope, since both of those are pretty old items, that DOT has something to say at some point soon, but that some point is not tonight. Just to loop back before Lyle sort of makes comments, I am wondering I'm not sure of the pronunciation, Sherame Mondeser, is she on in the attendee group? Because she wanted to speak briefly. I think Bruce, is she somebody you know?
Yeah, I don't see her on.
Yeah, I don't see her either.
Okay, so they were, we talked again about Amber Charter last month, and Bruce has this acquaintance who lives near there and was a former teacher and all those things, and wanted to sort of make a statement about that, but we'll have to move on from that.
I'll talk to her for next month and get some more input.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then, and then if she joins later, we can certainly,
Okay.
If it's after Lyle leaves, we can certainly she can make her statement, and then we can get him any information that might be helpful to DOT.
Thank you.
Ashley Bogosian, I'm going to actually allow her to talk right now, because she wanted to highlight, there are two things that, Ebenezer could handle in DSC, but while I wanted everybody just to hear what was going on, that somewhat relate in part to all the temporary traffic patterns on Riverside Drive in the high 150s and around 160th, as well as another thing that had to do with signage, but I just want her to say it out loud while we've got Lyle here, and then that way we can take out a step of waiting for DSC and, district service cabinet and all that. So Ashley, just in a minute or two, if you can just summarize while Lyle Blackwood from DOT is on the call, the two matters that you had highlighted, that you shared with me on email.
Sure.
And with
you want me to do that now?
Yeah, just take 2 minutes. I know it was going to be at the end of the meeting, but just while we have DOT here, I'd rather you just guys make the connection directly.
Sure.
Would just make things more efficient.
Sure. So there are there's two traffic issues that I brought up. One has to do with, I live in the River Arts building, which is at the top of Riverside Drive West, where all the construction is happening. So the first issue has to do with the crosswalk that's at 869 Riverside Drive that you cross over to connect Lower Riverside to Upper Riverside to go to Food Town. And the crosswalk basically needs to be repainted there. And there's a sign that's being blocked by trees when you're heading north from 158th Street up Lower Riverside Drive. There's a sign that says stop sign ahead, but it's very hard to see because of the trees blocking it. So people routinely run that stop sign, unfortunately, it's at 869 Riverside Drive when going from Lower Riverside to Upper Riverside. So there just needs to be additional signage or reflectors or paint. The paint needs to be redone where it says stop so that people actually know that there's a stop sign there. The other one was the intersection at the top of Riverside Drive West, where Riverside Drive splits at the top of the construction. We look out to the hospital facing north, where that split is at the top of the huge viaduct construction project. And we've seen probably about 10 accidents in the last 6 months of people not realizing that coming south on Riverside Drive West from the hospital, that there's 2 northbound lanes of traffic that are coming up Riverside Drive West. So they want to make a left, and they think that they've, made it through the hurdle of cars coming north. And what they don't realize is that there's a second lane of northbound traffic that has like a 6-foot gap of the construction site. And so there's a crossing guard or traffic person there sometimes, but it's just been a mess over there with the accidents. And so I think that there needs to be a sign that says left turn on arrow only, because it's such a blind spot, at least where the construction's happening. But those are kind of the two issues.
And Lyle, just so you know, I told Ashley she should also connect with Valerie Torsion. But with that, Lyle, do you want to just, I don't know if there are any other items that I didn't give an update on that you want to mention, or anything that you want to provide further detail that I didn't on, or what have you? But why don't you take a few minutes and kind of give us the update?
Sure. Well, in regards to the issues that were just brought up as far as Riverside Drive, it's good to know as far as I think I know the crosswalk, as you said, 869 Riverside Drive. So I looked it up, and it's pretty much, I see where it is. It's right where the staircase is, right by the upper drive and the lower drive, that connection. So
Correct.
I can alert my colleagues if that crosswalk needs to be repainted. We can take care of that. And if that stop sign, I'm assuming it's the stop sign right in front of the building. Is that the one that you're talking about?
Well, there's those 2 stop signs that are right in front of the building at that intersection. There's also another stop sign, or not stop sign, traffic sign that's yellow. It says like stop sign ahead, because what happens is, stop sign ahead, because what happens is people are going north on lower Riverside Drive from 158th Street. It's like a speedway almost, and they come whipping around that corner like cabs do it all the time when they're dropping you off, and they don't know that there's a stop sign coming.
Okay. If there's any, say, foliage or any trees, any greenery that's covering the signage, that would fall under parks, because that would need to be trimmed on their end. Those trees have to be trimmed. We can give the heads up to parks, or I can give the heads up to the district manager, Ebenezer Smith, and he might be able to relay that information to parks. But I've taken note of that, so we can reach out as far as that as well. Now, regarding the intersection of Riverside Drive and Riverside Drive West, I've heard that there have been a number of accidents that have occurred at that intersection. Our Bridges Division, as I'm sure you know, they're the ones that are pretty much in charge of the viaduct project. And we've been trying collectively in order to get the accident reports from the 33rd precinct in order to see if we can make the intersection safer. I've been able to obtain a couple of the reports. I've tried, Valerie and I have been really trying to get, the support of the precinct. And they understand what's been going on there as well. So we're trying to collectively see if we could put our heads together to see if we can make the intersection safer. But our Bridges Division is aware that there seems to be an issue. They've heard about the number of accidents as well. So I can check in with them to see where they stand. And I don't know if you do have the number of Valerie or the contact information for Valerie Torshon. She's the construction community liaison for that project. She's usually on site. The office is on Broadway by 158th Street. So she's just a block or two away pretty much from the actual construction site. And she should be there every day pretty much on the weekdays. So if there's somebody on site that, you want to speak with, I can put you in contact with her. But we are working together, she and I and the Bridges Division, to try to see if we can address that intersection. So I can reach out to them. I can also do something about the signage and the crosswalk. So we'll be in touch. If you have your email and phone number, we can definitely communicate that way. And if you have any additional pictures that you want to send to me, I can put my email in the chat. And we can
Thank
communicate.
you.
No problem.
Yeah, do that. And if there's any issue, Ashley, I'll just get you guys connected, but just grab Lyle's stuff from the chat. And then, I mean, I think you might need to put it
In the Q&A.
the Q&A.
Okay.
But if need be, I'll just connect you both later tonight or tomorrow on email. And Ashley does have some pictures that she forwarded to Bruce and I. So, or she forwarded, yeah. So,
Any visual evidence, any visual aids that you have, I can definitely relay that to my colleagues, and we can have everything under review. I'm trying to do it through the Q&A, but it looks like I'm not able to do it. So
all right, I'll take care of introing you guys online.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. I appreciate you making it to the call at rush hour for you in your house.
Yes, my pleasure.
And Lyle, other items?
You had mentioned Sherman Avenue. I know that you wanted to have the conversation as far as potential hotspots within CB12. Like I said, if you wanted to do a walkthrough or a site visit, of Sherman Avenue, at least the intersection, we can do something like that fairly soon. As far as hotspots, I kind of wanted to open it up to the committee to see if there were other intersections or other locations within CB12 they felt might be something that we could put on our radar. So, maybe we can set up a site visit, or, we can take a closer look at, certain locations. I just kind of want to open it up to the floor to see if there's anything besides Sherman Avenue within the district that any of the community members or any residents thought we might need to take a closer look at.
Right. I mean, we had heard, I think the Sherman Avenue thing had come up in the context first of that terrible accident where people were killed during the summer. But I do understand that as a wide street, particularly where it intersects other two-way wide streets, it's always challenging. And then I had said last month that probably we should take a look as a committee at the accident data, but it sounds like Sherman probably is it. Does it? But so let us come back to you if anybody on the committee just raise your hand if you.
Yeah,
Lino, do
Debbie,
you have something?
I think that whole portion of the 207th Street, all the way down to 10th Avenue, is pretty. It's mostly an enforcement issue. There's a lot of double parking, so it's very narrow for cars going either way to get through, and you have your maniacs that drive crazy. But I do think it's more maybe DOT and traffic enforcement, I'm assuming, can get in touch and try to work something out. I know that in the past we've tried to get traffic enforcement to come to the meetings, and it's pretty hard to get them. Maybe DOT could reach out to them. I'm not sure, but I think it's a traffic issue as well.
Yeah.
Regarding,
And then we are, and then I will circle back with it, Ebenezer, but we will try to get traffic enforcement to give them a proper invitation to come either in November or December, so we can talk about like those hotspots that have such a heavy enforcement aspect as well. And the 207th is, yeah, I feel like that's definitely high on the list.
that's all stretch of 207, right? Or is there a certain portion of 207? You said from 10th Avenue, was it all the way across, or was there, I guess?
Yeah, it's all the way across. It's up to about Sherman. It gets a little looser as it gets to Broadway, but from Sherman to about 10th Avenue, it's a lot of double parking, and it's a lot of issues in that area.
Yeah, double parking, that's enforcement. Yeah, we don't have the ability to ticket or tow. But for anything that would involve double parking, that would be under local precinct. Yeah, but we can take a look to see. 207 is a pretty narrow street. in general. But I can at least alert the precinct and just to put it on their radar if anything.
Awesome.
But all right, so let us come back to you, because it also probably would be nice to do it before it's freezing cold. So sometime in the next, 6 weeks or so would be good. And then we can try to work out some dates with the committee. And then, I mean, a small item, but DOT may be coming to us about some modifications on the Washington Bridge. But Lyle told me earlier that's not happening yet. It could
Yeah.
happen soon that they'll want to come to us, but it's obviously not this month. So
Yeah, not yet. Like we discussed, we are having conversations internally about the Washington Bridge, exactly what the project will entail. But when we do have some news to report in the presentation, we'll definitely pass it along to you along with the time. But nothing new to report now as far as Washington Bridge. We're working on it.
all right. And then I just realized I have one. Let me just see if she's on yet. Is Denise Laufer on yet? So there were, and I know this is somewhat of an enforcement issue, but I think you guys did put something else on the streets there on Upper Amsterdam, where there were all the street changes. There were reports of parking in the bike lane, etc. But then I know you put up some of, I don't know what they're called. They're not cones, but these like plastic things that I guess keep people from doing something they're not supposed to be doing. But do you have any follow-up on those changes that were implemented on Amsterdam above 188th? And then Ira Gershenhorn, I see you. We're gonna come to you in a second.
Well, just I guess as a quick recap, we came before the committee a little while ago with a presentation in regards to some concerns that we had heard about traffic, about speeding and unsafe conditions on Amsterdam north of 188th Street. So ideally from 188th around the curve on the top down to traffic. So I'm sure if anybody's been up there recently, they've seen some of the changes that we've installed. We've installed some concrete islands along the east side of Amsterdam as a pedestrian refuge next to the bus stops along there. We've redone the bike lane, so it's more visible for those that are riding. It's parking protected, so bikers can go there without fear of reprisal or repercussion from any cars. I don't know if it's happened yet, but I know that we were in the process of switching some of the parking on Amsterdam onto 190th between Wadsworth and Amsterdam to turn that into angled parking, so that the residents in that area closer to where folks live would be able to have easier access to parking, and new signage along Amsterdam, from 188th around, just to indicate where cars can and can't park from here on. Because you've heard about the commercial vehicles that are parking out there as well. So a lot of changes that are going. Speed humps, I think, are also I think that they've been installed fairly recently. So a lot of safety improvements, a lot of changes that have gone in over the past couple of months. And our school safety division, those are the ones that are in charge of the project. They're still up there trying to put the finishing touches on. So some additional physical barriers to kind of tighten the street. We're trying to do some things where we can do some beautification with some artwork of possible, working with the school there. And so far so good. It seems as if if it's working. And it seems like there are changes that are much needed because we've heard a lot about the speeding. It seems to kind of tighten that up a little bit in the area. So far so good. But we should be almost done. I think we're putting the finishing touches on now. But we're getting there.
And just to clarify, the speed bumps were never allowed to go there because it's a bus route. Are these the new pilot phase speed cushions made special for buses?
Yeah, we have speed cushions that are, we were trying to pretty much put in different locations that would make it easier for a bus to go over them.
Mhm.
That would be what we're trying to do in this instance, to install those. So at least the bus can go over those while it makes its way over to Fort George Avenue.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So I'm gonna, Bruce,
What is a speed cushion?
Essentially, a speed cushion pretty much is a speed bump, but it's a little bit more. It has a flat table pretty much on top, so it's not as high, but it still creates some sort of buffer, more or less a physical raised buffer, so that cars can still go over it, but it's also for buses to go over as well. In the past, and usually, if we can't put speed bumps along bus routes because of the impacts of the bus, speed cushions allow us to do that and allow for buses to go over. So it's just essentially a speed bump that's a little bit raised, a little bit longer and a little bit flatter. So it allows for buses and other vehicles that really couldn't go over a speed bump to go over at least that. So it's still kind of it slows cars down, but at least larger vehicles can go over it.
And where have you installed these up here?
On Amsterdam, pretty much north of 188th Street. They're more around by the curved area behind GW High School. So pretty much the area between 190th and Fort George Avenue as you're going around on Amsterdam around the curve. That's pretty much where you're going to see those.
So they can be on a curve, which opens up new possibilities for our complaints from before, which said speed bumps can't be on bus lanes, right?
Well, it depends on if there's a street that's wide enough. In this instance, Amsterdam's a wide enough street. There are different criteria, for speed cushions. I don't have all the information in front of me, but I can get some more for you. And maybe if there are certain locations, within the district, maybe we might be able to, come up with something depending on, where it is and if it's doable.
Thank you, Lyle.
okay. And actually, I'm just gonna take care of Mr. Gershenhorn's comments here because I do want to wrap up this item and move to our co-naming. So he's asking about this issue of like the collisions on Riverside, and then how do we not know about it? And I think the issue is that you were looking for police reports, not that you don't know about it, and that they have full accident data. And we'll connect Lyle with all the photos and everything that he needs. DOT is not empowered to ticket. So he was saying, isn't DOT empowered to ticket, but just.
No, we don't have ticketing or towing capacity. We're not an enforcement agency. So we can't ticket or tow. And also in regards to the collisions, again, DOT is aware of the collisions, but as to be mentioned, we have to get the accident reports. We have to know the nature of those accidents so we know what to do in regards to fixing that. But we are aware of the collisions. We do know. And I guess we're trying to rectify it.
Okay. All right. So, and just actually now coming back to the speed cushion thing, just as a reminder to everybody, when we received the presentation for the Amsterdam project, they were still not like kind of approved for usage yet. So they were mentioned, but it wasn't definitive whether we were going to get them. So that's great that they're testing them out on Amsterdam, because people really, as we all know, things were really bad up there, and all these traffic calming tools at the disposal, we want to know that we can avail ourselves of. Okay, so with that, Lyle, thank you for being here. I think we both have some follow-ups. I'll get you connected as we discussed, and get back to you on the walkthrough item. And yeah, just appreciate your work and your follow-up. And I know your guys are all stretched pretty thinly right now. Sam, we'll see you again in November.
Thanks,
Could
Debbie.
possibly be in person. Who knows?
Ah, interesting. Good to know.
Well, you never know. We never know month to month these days. So yeah, so you're welcome to stay, but when you need to duck out, feel free. And anybody else that comes on later, if anything happens, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
And then with that, we have a co-naming proposal. We have a number of people who are here in connection with that. Michaela, and I assume Kirby, is there anybody else that you would like to have promoted? Joshua or anybody?
Joshua and Jen.
Okay.
Jen 212.
Okay. So Chanel, you got that, right? So Joshua Lopez and right, Jen 212, right?
And Debbie, after we have 2 questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
Am I on? Can we go? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm Manhattan Community Board 12. I'm Michela with the Answer Coalition. I'm joined here today with fellow member Kirby Joseph, the family of John Collado, his daughter and nephew who will be speaking on his behalf. Other advocates in the anti-police brutality struggle and community members that you see here who have come in support. The board requested for us to create a presentation, which we have. So we definitely have that prepared. So whenever the board is ready, I can share my screen.
You can share, Michelle.
Yeah, Chanel, I'm sorry, Michelle able to do that now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Does everyone see that?
Not quite yet.
Okay. Well, let me know.
Yeah, because you're showing as a co-host, but it's not coming up yet. So you keep tapping on share screen and nothing's happening? There we go.
Okay. All right. Okay. John Collado, he was born March 25th, 1968. At the time of his death, he lived on Post Avenue in Washington Heights, the neighborhood that he also grew up in. John had lived with his wife, his youngest 2-year-old son, and his mother, whom he cared for. He survived by a total of 5 children and 2 grandchildren. Kirby?
To his family, he was known for being somebody who was playful, who was friendly, who was very loving. He was uplifting, he was infectious, he was funny. To his neighbors, he was known as a good and caring person. He was a good Samaritan. He was always engaged in what was going on in the community. He was always caring towards his community members and was always so helpful to his community. And this is something that was exemplified up until the day that he died, where the grocery store where he was picking up ingredients to cook lasagna, as his family loves to make sure that we know, important detail showing his family orientedness, that he was approached and asked to help de-escalate an argument because he was known in the community as somebody who was always helpful to the community whenever folks had issues or problems.
On September 2011, John Collado was shot and killed by then undercover narcotics director James Connolly. Connolly had independently and in plain clothes decided to pursue Rango Batista for the sale of marijuana, and the two began fighting. When John got between them in an effort to de-escalate, Connolly drew his gun and fatally shot him in the stomach. Connolly pled self-defense, saying that John had put him in a chokehold, a claim that has since been ruled false testimony, for which the NYPD paid a $5.5 million settlement. John is the second person that Connolly has since killed while on duty, the first being an 18-year-old named Anthony Roman. John was killed trying to stop violence from ensuing, while Connolly was later promoted to an NYPD sergeant.
John's family and community want to honor him with a street named after him in his neighborhood, where he is still recognized, remembered, and valued. When something to uplift, when we started the process and started petitioning the first day that we went out, even though John was killed 11 years ago, the case was fresh in everyone's mind, and we got hundreds of signatures just in the first day. To John's family, he was a hero. He didn't wear a badge or a cape. He didn't carry a weapon, but he was willing to put his body on the line to de-escalate a fight and risk his life when he had other plans to help his community. He acted as a good Samaritan and was unjustly killed by NYPD officer James Connolly, who had a history of violence and death. The family carries and continues John's legacy of care and service to his community by continuing to fight and organize and honor him and memorialize him in the community with a street naming. And this is work that the family who is here has supported the Answer Coalition in leading with them to accomplish. And this is a picture of an award that John received. And that is it for our presentation. We want to open it now to Joshua and then Jen Collado, John's daughter.
Yes, thank you. Yes, if his daughters, Jen and Joshua would like to speak and you can give them access, that would be great.
And can you see me and hear me?
We can hear
Hi,
you.
Joshua. Yeah, we can.
Okay, hi, I'm good evening, everybody, and thanks for your time and thanks for having us here. I'm Joshua Lopez, the nephew of John Collado, and I have spent my last 11 years trying to uplift John's name and legacy and what kind of person he was. He was really loved not only by his family but also by the community. And like Kirby said, we got these signatures, hundreds of signatures just in days. I believe if we would have continued longer, we would have got thousands of signatures. So I think it's something that's really needed for the community. This will be a gift not only to us, the family, but also the community. And yeah, like I said, people all over this nation knows John's name and John's story and what kind of person he was, family man and everything. I'm sorry I get emotional when I talk about John because it still hurts like if it was yesterday. And like I said, this will be like really great for not only the family but also the community. And we chose the day March 25th because that would have been his birthday. And like I said, this will be a gift for all of us. And thank you guys for your time. And I'm hoping, Mary, you recuperate from your surgery.
Thanks, Josh.
Jen?
Wait, oh, wait. Yeah, I think Jen had fallen down for a moment to attendees, but I think Chanel just pulled her back up. 1 second. There, okay. Jen, you just, if you unmute, you should be good to go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. Thank you guys for your time. Just want my father's name and legacy to be remembered for the good Samaritan and the good person he was. And I think it would be a nice thing to name co-name the street after my dad, because he was a great person and he was just really trying to de-escalate already. I don't know what to call the situation there, but it would be appreciated by us. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. I mean, first of all, to you, to Joshua, to all of you who are here on his behalf, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. So am I.
That's a devastating tragedy for
Thank you.
your family and for the community. And I can only imagine that 11 years feels like 11 minutes in some ways. You know, that's just a shocking loss.
It is.
It's as you know, because you guys definitely took good care with the co-naming application, that you know, one of the requirement is this petition. And you know, there's so many things in the digital age where obviously we can send you out to, you know, have an online petition. But one thing I like about this application that might be old-fashioned, but that has remained having a paper petition. And I think it is not the, you know, it's easy to sign a digital petition, but I think the number of signatures you got, and I know how quickly you got them, because I know when we got the inquiry and I know when you got the package back, is a testament to the impact that he had in the area. I will say that so I want to remind the committee, and I hope the committee members have had opportunity to review the co-naming guidelines in the package. While, you know, we certainly have done some in the recent past, but you know, we do it twice a year, and I can't recall if we had last October. Sorry, in the first part of the year. So I think you guys probably saw this in the guidelines. The sort of the key part of the co-naming guidelines that we operate under is that somebody have this minimum of 10 years of community involvement for individuals, 30 for organizations, and you should have demonstrated an extraordinary and consistent voluntary commitment and dedication to community. And so it's sort of slightly outside those parameters in that the reason, you know, of significance is because he lost his life to being who he was in the community, who was like somebody you could turn to like bridge situations and all of that. So in some ways it's a little outside sort of the spirit of this thing, but no doubt somebody that's had a significant impact on his community in the area. So it's so I'm just trying to sort of say, like, this is what I think as a committee, like, we have to consider, because it's not, you know, if somebody's a good person, and it's a huge loss when they're gone, and of good character and a good Samaritan, but that's that's not all of it for this particular format. So I think that's, I mean, personally, what I'm struggling with a little bit. But, and then Bruce, I see your hand up. Before we go to Bruce, can I just have, I don't know if this would be Michelle or Kirby. You mentioned you're from an organization that starts with an A, and now I've forgotten the word. Can you just tell me what that organization is?
So the Answer Coalition stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism Coalition. It has been in Harlem since 2006. It's been in existence since 2004. So it's been around for 18 years, uplifting anti-war, anti-police brutality work all over the country.
Oh, wow. Okay. Bruce?
Yeah, good evening, family, and condolences. And it's great to hear a family speak about their father in such glowing terms. What does the John Collado Foundation do? Is it an ongoing endeavor now? And how does that tie in with the group that you just mentioned? Or if it does? Thank you.
Joshua, I don't know if you want to touch base on the foundation.
Excuse me?
I don't know if you want to touch base on the foundation and just talk about that work.
I'm not sure about the foundation because what I do is I go around like speaking his story and I have none with the foundation. You know, I go around like speaking about what happened to him, his life, what kind of life he lived, but I have nothing to do with a foundation.
Because I'm looking at the photograph and seeing the name in the lower right-hand corner of the foundation. Is it an ongoing effort, or was this something that, does it still exist?
Jen, do you know anything about it? You want to speak on it?
That's okay. It's just a question. You don't have to address it now. It's something that to kind of give this legs to expand, his legacy and maybe make the case for why his memory, his legacy lives on.
Yes, I didn't even know there was a John Collado Foundation, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry, where did you see that, Bruce? I'm apologize.
It's in the photograph I'm looking at on the screen on the lower right-hand corner.
Oh, the one on this, I was looking through my papers. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's on the screen. And there's J4J. In the lower right-hand corner, it says John Collado Foundation, September 7th, I think that's 2012. It's kind of cut off. So I'm just curious about whether there's an ongoing effort to keep his memory alive, and what kind of impact is that having on the community with maybe other people who have had police, interactions of the same.
I can answer some of that. So with the family, I can just talk about my interactions and Answer Coalition's interactions with the family and the work that they have been doing. Since 2011, since the death of John Collado, and I do hear what Debbie is saying about a community leader. And I think a lot of times we may have associations of assumptions of what a community leader is, but John was a community leader, whether people knew him, whether he was photographed doing it, or he was on the news doing it. And that's not who he was. He was somebody who was helping the community every day in every capacity that he wanted to. He was someone, ironically, who was killed because of police violence, but actually supported the police, tried to find ways to bridge gaps within the community. So it's ironic that his death came from the hands of a NYPD officer. And so even though he's not somebody who's highly recognized or a glamorized community leader, he was a community leader. I just want to uplift that. And he did it for a very long time. That's why an elder in the community reached out to him to help de-escalate a fight, because people knew that he would help, because he always helped. In terms of the work that the family has done, kind of what Joshua is saying, and other members of the family, whenever there has been police brutality cases in New York City since 2011, since John Collado's death and fighting that struggle, the family has been there to support different cases. There are family members who couldn't come on today because of time capacity, but Joshua has always been there talking about his uncle, supporting the cases of Sean Bell, supporting the cases of Eric Garner, talking about John Collado with cases of Akai Gurley, and countless other police brutality victims in New York City. Joshua just came back from Florida in a massive flood to talk about police violence and police brutality and uplifting John Collado's name. And that's something that has happened for the past 11 years. So it's been really tied to police brutality and police violence. And I know that, you know, folks can't speak to necessarily the foundational aspect of it, which I understand, and I appreciate you for uplifting that. But they have been plugged into community organizing for the past 11 years, particularly around community safety.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirby.
Jay?
Yeah, I don't think the question really we should be dealing with is how many years this John guy was helping out the neighborhood, but we should be dealing with the impact his being killed by cops under murky circumstances has had on that immediate area and the community as a whole. Fortunately, this isn't a daily occurrence in the neighborhood, and we want to keep it that way. I think it's important to commemorate the man who was killed by the cops and co-name the street after him, so that cops walking by that street, although they never walk on streets anymore, driving by that street, will see his name and know that what they did hasn't been forgotten by the neighborhood. And I'm sure everything his friends and family said about how wonderful he is true, but I think it's kind of beside the point. We should commemorate this horrible incident in any way we can and discourage undercover cops from losing their tempers and shooting people in our neighborhood.
Very eloquently said, Mr. Mazur. Actually, Michelle, would you mind unsharing just so I can see more faces again?
Sure.
And Chanel, can you promote the CB12 members who are on the attendee side? I think there's James Bosley, Jay Baez. There might be one more person. I'm just doing a little toggling. All right, great. Okay, does anybody else on the committee have anything they want to say?
Could you remind us of the specific requirements in our rules? And then the other thing is, it may be that although these are our rules for co-naming, they may actually be a reflection of rules we have no control over that were put in place by the city council. I'm not sure of that. So
Well,
if you,
I mean, the only thing I see, so somebody needs to have passed more than 2 years ago. Obviously, Mr. Collado has been gone for 11. The only thing that I can think of, there's nothing that's coming up. I mean, again, I read what sort of the main guidelines that we're operating under, but we certainly, there is sort of room for exceptions that sort of remain in the spirit of the guidelines. And how Jay articulated is in a way sort of getting at this exception of, like, if there's something about their passing that's sort of part of the story of what we're sort of honoring or what have you. Like we have the room to do that. The only thing that I could think of, and I don't think it's an issue because the case was decided, is if there's an open lawsuit. So, but that lawsuit was long ago settled. That's the only thing that I could think of that we could run into.
so if I could pursue my thinking now that, you know, I'm slightly more enlightened. Jay, and we all heard what he said and how eloquently he spoke. He might have spoken, well, I would prefer, however annoyed we get at the folks, to refer to them as policemen. But the point is, the story, as I think most people understand it, as has been explained to us tonight, is there was an altercation and this well-known peacemaker tried to intervene, and apparently his intervention was not seen for what it was. And unfortunately, he was killed. So this is a great hero we're talking about. And as Jay, well, I'm going to try to put it a little bit nicer. As Jay pointed out, his name, honoring his name, will be an object lesson to police and everyone else, that we don't lose our temper, especially if we have a gun in our hand. The fact that there are too many guns is a whole other story, but again, this co-naming in my mind, and I was again very moved by what Jay had to say, and obviously by what the family had to say, you know, is an object lesson that we, I think, ought to think about doing, because when innocent people trying to do the right thing are killed, that's not how society is supposed to work. So that's my view at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Mary?
I just wanted to say that listening to Jay, listening to Jim, and having certain questions answered, I was not sure how I was going to go with this, but I think both of them brought everything into perspective and summarized all that we need to consider. Certainly I've now, I believe, made up my mind how I will vote. So.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Also, all cases have been settled. There's no
Yeah,
open
no, I know that. I appreciate this discussion because, like Mary, I was struggling with like how we might fit this into the guidelines that we're working with. And but I also think, I mean, one, sort of ditto what Mary said, but also that having so much support that, you know, it's something that in all cases the full board should have the benefit of voting on. So Jay, if you don't mind me tagging you to do this, if you could make a motion, I'd like you to make the motion for the resolution since you spoke about it so well.
I so move.
Oh,
I second the motion. No, I think his words are already spoken. He did make the motion, so I think he had the honor, and we already heard what he had to say. And I think obviously it was very powerful, as it should have been.
Okay. I'm going to do the roll call then. Mary?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just going in the way my pictures are going. Jim?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Leo?
Yes.
All right, I think that's who I've got from, wait, am I missing somebody? Oh, me, yes. Okay, I'm just, does, James Bosley, do you want to vote? Wait, is James still here? Yes.
I'm not on the committee.
I know, but we, after the committee votes and we're going to board members.
I will abstain.
Okay, and Jay Baez, would you like to vote?
Yes, I vote yes.
Great. Okay, and then I think this is what I want to do for all the attendees. If you all in favor, if you can raise your Zoom hands, do it now. I feel so waved at. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 waves plus 8, 9 on the panelists. 10, wait. All right. Yeah, I think I got a good count. Call it 10. All right, great. With that, the motion passed. Joshua, Jen, Michelle, Kirby. We will write up a resolution that will be presented at the general meeting. And it would be great if perhaps, and you can sort of do it in like 2 or 3 of you, but you'll to basically, I guess, maybe come during the public session and make like a 3-minute, 2-minute, like a mini presentation. You don't have, not with slides or anything. You don't need to do that necessarily, but just to it at the public meeting. And the board, we tend to do the votes like at the end of the meeting, so you have to sort of sit through a lot, but the public session is not too far into the meeting. You know, whatever makes sense. We you know, this is a community board. We are so pleased to get to know a member of the community and wish we could have known him when he was alive. We appreciate the time and heart that you put into this. And it will, if it is approved at the general meeting, then it goes to, you know, as a recommendation to the council member, then the council, the city council tends to vote the way the council member from the district goes, and then that's voted in December. That's how I understand the timeline. So I appreciate you all being here and sharing your family story. And sorry, I'm just being joined by a dog. And then we can talk, or you know, if you want to check in with the office or what have you with any questions, or you know, we can get you the date for the general meeting. I don't have it at my fingertips, but it's like the third Tuesday in the month.
It's October 25th
Okay, great. All
at
right.
6:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary.
Hey, Deb.
Bruce, yeah.
So just to tell the family, in my experience, at least on the committee, it takes about a year to get the sign finally put up after it's approved by city council and so forth, the yada, yada, DOT and so forth. So it takes a while.
All right, good outcome. All right, so with this, obviously, Collado families and friends, you can certainly bow out now. You should feel free, because we're about to do something that's just deeply internal process oriented of our budgets, but obviously welcome to stay if you're so interested. I'll look
You mean it's
forward.
boring?
It's super boring. You know. But anyway, it was such a pleasure to meet you. Safety and all good things to the family, and we'll see you, or some of you, in October.
Thank you. We'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd like to thank you, Debbie, Mary, Bruce, Leo, James, Jay, everybody on the board. Anybody I'm missing, I'm sorry. I thank you guys, and have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you for your courageous words, family. And thank you, Manhattan Community Board 12, for your time this evening. And I will see you, everyone, in October 25th.
Perfect. All right. Good night, Michelle. Good night, Kirby.
Good night. Thank you.
All right. So, oops. All right. So now let's talk budget. Did people, and I'm sorry that when I wrote yesterday, I forgot to put the link to the new spreadsheet. But so just so first, let's just kind of recap where we ended last year. I think 2 seasons ago, we kind of refreshed our list. Last year, I think we just made a few small tweaks. I have so I pretty much just did a save as on the 2021 list. And right before the meeting did try to tighten it up a little bit more. I just pulled out, and so I have not added anything. So I guess I'm just going to read through very quickly what was on the list last year while people sort of collect their thoughts for a few extra minutes to see if there's anything we can brainstorm that might make sense to add. I've tried to reflect what I know of as projects that are happening. So we could take them off this list since they're happening, but I don't know that I necessarily captured all of it. But so as a reminder, on capital, we always have our wish list for full ADA accessibility in our train stations. It's been announced at 168. So I took that off the list. And 181, I think we had already known about last year on the A line. So it like that had come off. And IRT Dykeman is, if it was ever on there, it's not on there because that's getting completed. So, okay, then we still have the analyze Riverside Drive upper roadway between 158 and 165th. You know, I think it's still relevant. I mean, they're looking at some stuff just with the, I think, sort of stop sign oriented, but like nothing larger. And I think that the community request was for something a bit more expansive. So I think that can stay. I have a question about, and Chanel, maybe you know this, West 174th Street between Audubon and Amsterdam. I think that might have happened. So if
Yes,
that,
it did.
all right, so we can take that off. That's very exciting. Okay, so that's gone. And then we called out specific subway stations, 181st Street A, 168th Street A, and the 207th 1 train. For any young ones around, IRT is the 1 train and the IND is the A and the C. Okay, then we had new lighting in parks along Greenway, and we had sustainability repairs to 157th Street 1 station, which I don't think has occurred. On the expense side, we had an item, I think this one had come from Mary about, we had added last year about increased funding for like maintenance, repairs, cleaning, all that stuff. Fares is on here. I think I'll probably take that off because I think that did get somewhat addressed in the budget. But I actually don't know. So if somebody has an opinion or knowledge on that, let chime in. We've always talked about we'd like more attention between 165th and 170th on Fort Washington Avenue. Mary actually has somebody she knows who's had a lot of who's talked about this. Richard Allman brings this up. Like, this is still an issue, even though there's been some small changes there. So I feel like that should stay. 207th Street for a traffic study for West 207th Street and the bridge and the University Heights Bridge. That of course will always remain a hot spot, I think. We had lighting in the parks. I guess the question is that capital or is that expense? Because it's only one of those, and we might have. So I actually think that's on the maintenance side. So I think we should consider that on the expense side.
It depends if the light poles are there or not. If if there's no outlet for the light, then it's capital. If it's change the light bulb, that's maintenance expense.
All right, true. So you're saying maybe leave it in both?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do, well,
Question is does there need to be more light installations there?
Right, exactly,
That's
exactly.
capital.
Yeah. And then if it's just light bulbs, then maybe it needn't sort of, I don't know, if it needs to be.
I think most of the problems are not light bulbs. The problems are damaged lamp posts, wires that have been stolen. So I would think, it's probably almost certainly a capital thing.
Okay, so I'm going to take it out of the expense because this isn't, which we may have done when we did the consolidated. And then we had increased funding for pothole repairs and pedestrian crosswalks. I mean, I sort of feel like the crosswalks are already getting done. Although I think this was more of a sort of on the sort of more of a maintenance aspect now that I think of it. So let's leave that one. Okay, so let me just, okay, so we don't have Robin or Hector Bonilla. Chanel, are we sure that Hector, he would have gotten all the information about the committee, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Mary, do you have some thoughts?
Well, I mean, I was going to say, I have this printed list, the registered community board budget requests with, the answers from the city about each of the requests and what happened with it, whether they addressed it or not. If there are specific ones, I can check on this because I've just done that for my committee.
And where did you get that?
From Ebenezer. I believe it went out to all the chairs. The same, it's got the capital and expense budget lists from last year, the ratings, as well as this it's a lot of sheets of paper, but I printed it out because it's important.
And I'm sorry, Chanel, when did that go out?
A few days ago.
Okay.
September 30th. I got it September 30th at 12:19 p.m.
Okay, yeah, no, I was sort of, now that you say it, I didn't realize that. I just thought it was the ranking stuff.
No, because I've been asking them to send this to us, because my committee had certain questions. We didn't know what they had done last year about a couple of items. So I had reminded them in Ebenezer and the executive committee to please get this out to us.
Right. All right. Let me just do a quick scan. I'm sorry. That's on me. I should have. I didn't realize that was attached. I
mean, it's easy for me to look up and just tell you what the answers were. If you give me the number.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the agencies, just so I can filter for the agency is. So Fair Fares was already funded, so that can go.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we want agency 998. So we had got further study on like all the station stuff. So that can stay. I'm sorry, let me just hop onto the sheet and get rid of the Fair things. All right, let me now check the traffic studies.
Which traffic study are you looking for?
Okay, so on the 207th, it said it requires further study.
Right.
And on the 165th, same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Lighthouse link. This request cannot be funded at this time. The new lighting in parks. All right, increased funding for pothole repair. The community board should contact the responsible agency. I sort of feel like they're sort of saying, just make the request of the agency, like as if the funding is already there. And then the same. Oh, you know what? So what we had put in the rolled up budget with respect to the lighting was new lighting in parks along Greenway with preference for solar. But they just said we should contact the responsible agency. But they don't have the responsible agency listed as DOT. That's interesting.
Well, here on number 27, which is the request. Wait a minute. Hold on. Increased funding with preference for solar lighting in CB12 parks, including Greenway. That's the one on the expense budget, number 27. It says LMB supports the agency's position as follows. Parks will discuss this request with DOT, which is responsible for lighting in the parks as well as on the streets. Whether that got done.
All right, so but that means it should stay on there, you know?
Yeah.
Again, all the subway stuff requires further study, just FYI, the speed cameras seem to say that can't be determined at this time.
And the pothole repairs and pedestrian crosswalks. Says LMB supports the agency's position as follows. More information is needed from the community board before making a funding decision. The community board should contact the agency. So we need to leave that on, and we need to try to follow through on their request.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of saying, like, what I imagine is the case there is like being specific is more helpful, because every year they do crosswalks and they repair potholes. So it's like something that's already budgeted for. So it's kind of, and we had this discussion last year when we put it on, like it's already happening. So if we're talking about specific things where it's not happening, then we need to say the specific thing. But we're going to keep getting this back if we're not more specific, is how I read that. So
we need to tweak. We need to tweak that with a list of, like we did with the subways, or at least.
Yeah, but then so that this. Yeah, so
I mean,
somebody has something to say, but otherwise I'm going to take it off, because they are systematically going through all the crosswalks to enhance visibility.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, what are we saying with that one?
So maybe we should mark it continued support.
Well, I mean, and
Since
why
the
don't we,
group-
I mean, I guess, I mean, I'm only sort of playing devil's advocate. Why don't we just take it off? Like, if it's sort of happening, then why are we saying it? You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, maybe that's a way of me saying, like, I'm not a continued support kind of believer. Like, I think either we're asking for something or we're not. It's just, I find us, our committee, it's hard to do that because it's like, we're not going to affect the MTA budget. And then it's just like, well,
Guess what we have to do is, keep it in our heads
yeah.
so that we continue to ask for the specific areas that need to be addressed.
I mean, when I think about, I'm just thinking out loud, like things that I would like DOT to do that they probably don't have the headcount or sort of bandwidth to do is like, all this, stuff that's discussed in the strategy and the vision, but it doesn't seem to be happening, like reprioritizing the roadbed for the modern
Right,
era.
but I think we tend to forget about, complaining about the, certain places where there are potholes or where there are where the ped ramps need repair. We're not getting that information, I don't think, to DOT in a timely manner.
All right, but that's like 3-1.
I think we need to, as a committee, keep that.
Yeah. Right, and that just needs to go to Ebenezer because he can then get at it at the district service cabinet. Because that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a situation where they're like, no, we're not doing this, then we as a committee get involved. But if it's like something that DOT does, but they need to be pointed to where it needs to happen, that's an Ebenezer thing, and this is somewhat on me, like I think, but it's sort of all of us too. It's like we need to be giving him things that because if he doesn't know about it, he can't follow up on it. Sometimes it comes in through him and he tells us, but sometimes we know, to your point, in which case if we don't tell him, he cannot follow up on it.
And the other thing I want to share with the committee is that I asked Ebenezer, please send me the invite to the district service cabinet meetings. I used to attend them in person prior, pre-COVID. And I found it very helpful because I got to know a lot of things that I didn't get to find out otherwise. So unfortunately, I can't go in October because it's the same day as I have my post-op appointments. But I will be attending them. They're having them virtual, so
Yeah, I can't attend them because of my work day, but I got to go.
Yeah, but I had scheduled it into my.
Are they recorded?
Sorry?
They recorded those.
Think so.
Huh?
I don't think so.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Can we look at them? Can we see them?
Sure, on the website, I'm sure you can do that.
I don't think I'm on the website. Not yet. See, but
I'm not, well, we can find out.
Well, then are there minutes? Because how do we know something was actually?
No, this is the thing I've been, because I don't.
How do we know something was addressed?
Exactly.
That's why I like to go.
I've tried to bring it up at executive, but nobody kind of supports me on it. Anyway.
What kind of accountability is there then?
Well, you can get a hold of Ebenezer's notebook. He writes everything down.
Okay.
Sometimes well, whatever, not important. For this. So do we have?
Bios has his hand up, Debbie.
Okay, great. Sorry, I was looking at the spreadsheet. Go ahead, Jay.
That's okay. I'm not part of this committee, so I just have like a procedural question, based on the binder I was given. Did the agency that kind of, transportation agency, DOT, actually like comment and give you a list of projects they had in mind? Because based on the binder I read, they're supposed to kind of give you assessments of things that are needed in our community board.
It's an excellent question. And I don't get it from our agencies. And while there should be more sort of connection on that, it's sort of, if they're working on it, then it sort of seems like, well, then they have budget for it. So this is sort of a little bit more, or we've maybe used it for, rightly or wrongly, more for things that don't have the funding, but we've heard from the community, or we've observed that we'd like it to happen. So that's how we got like these traffic study things that, that we'd like those things to be on the list. But I was thinking about, like, there's that whole project down on Riverside, sort of north of 165, but sort of south of 179, that we resoed on like 2 years ago. And then it was sort of depending on a grant, so it was a little more long-term, but now it's like, I sort of feel like, is there something shaky now about the funding? Do we put that one on the list? Because it's not been implemented. It's horrible down there. It's so needed. Like, do we put something like that, just sort of, basically building on Jay's observation here, that sort of things that are sort of on their list, but don't seem to be happening potentially for funding reasons, or it's like partially funded, but not fully funded. And that is something that DOT brought to us.
Can I just have I'm sorry, just for a follow-up, because here it's saying the agencies consult with the boards and their committees, based on their committees, to discuss kind of what the needs that they see in the community board. Is there any process by which, I guess, Ebenezer gets requests for like capital request? Like, how do you document new requests?
Well, again, it sort of just works in the other direction. Like, if DOT has projects, or the MTA has projects, they have an enunciated vision and plan and capital budgets and all of those things. And that funding doesn't have anything to do with community board, of like how that gets funded. But I'm hearing you. You're making a good point, but it's kind of not, it doesn't go down that way, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, then they should reform this.
Yeah.
Because it's saying here there should have been a district level thing with district managers and community board committee members back in late spring, and another one for the month of September and October. Boards of each borough.
Right.
On that.
But that's sort of so roughly how the process goes is, ultimately, yes, the district manager, and then sort of writ large, it is sort of in consultation with the community and the agencies, in the sense that the district manager leads the writing of this annual plan or district needs statement, right? That does come from the district manager. So each committee goes through this ranking process. Then next, Ebenezer's going to take all the different committees, roll them together, and then you as a board member, so you'll do this process in the committees you're assigned to, and then as board members, we all get this combined list, which is like 3 miles long, and we rank, so let's say it goes 1 to 95. I'm just saying, for example, and you have to rank it 1 through 95. And at that point, you're cutting across the different projects from different committees. Then that gets incorporated into the larger district needs statement. And that is also a product of, again, the district manager sits at DSC all week, all year, once a month, speaks to all the agencies. So then in that final report, it's not going to speak to 90, even though it's going to be in the ranking 90 things. They do draw out some that are the top priorities and sort of speak to that and tell the story of the needs of the district. So it's
So
not to
if
say
I could now comment on it, please?
Yeah.
Because I was actually here 42 years ago when things were very different. In those days, there was actually a meeting between community board members and the heads of each department. It took place in a setting, and you go from room to room, and you'd actually meet the head of the Manhattan Police and the head of the Manhattan Sanitation and all the other top people. And this slowly evolved. And basically what happens now, although there's this nice verbiage, is there are actual consultations between the district manager and possibly the community board chair, but we don't have that much involvement anymore. Now, as Debbie pointed out, and by the way, we don't have to rank 95 things, which would be ridiculous. And these rankings are the key. And then the other piece is this: what happens up here is sort of a two-way street. Sometimes DOT will come to us and say, we have learned that this street is dangerous and this is what we want to do. And then they make a presentation and we comment on it and whatever. The alternative is we see things, and that's what community boards are all about. And we say to DOT, are you aware of whatever it is? And then they go, oh, and then we work together to, work on it. So it's actually a two-way street. But, now there may be other boards that actually have board members involved in these consultations, or they may have committee members, but they're actual consultations between certainly Ebenezer and the heads of the various, major agencies. So I think I just chased Debbie away.
So I guess to your point, James, if Ebenezer's had those meetings, has he relayed to us the list, the current list, the things that are open right now, haven't been completed, haven't been put in the capital plan?
Well, what I'm talking about is not the stuff that's underway, which is this is all about what we want or what they want for the future or improvements we want or whatever. So, again, the ranking we do makes it very clear to Ebenezer what we think is important, what we don't think is important. He makes our, views as a community board very clear to these various agencies. So like I said, in the old days, it was really a lot of fun. It was in some big high school because there were 12 community boards and all kinds of agencies. It was a whole big to-do. But I think that it just costs the city too much money or whatever. But insofar as Ebenezer represents us, and again, the board chair may be involved. And again, other boards may have more people involved in this process, but that's how it has evolved up here over the years.
When is the public meeting for this? When is the open?
That's actually been scheduled, and it's in October sometime. The priorities hearing, whatever it's called. Yeah.
And so I guess, I don't know. So we're just recycling what we have from last year.
Yeah, you'll see most of the committees come with stuff that they've highlighted before. But
yeah, that's because it didn't happen. So it's still on the list and we have to keep on making a fuss.
Because
it's really important.
And I know, Jim, maybe it's not 95, but it's a lot. So really the only thing that really gets, when the time you boil it up, they're going to concentrate on, and I don't remember.
Or they concentrate on the first 15 or something like that. The other ones are
And
Yeah.
and I do find it challenging on this particular committee because community boards are not going to ultimately influence the MTA capital plan. Like it gets so much bigger and so many more good gajillions. But on the other hand, it is a way to say these are our priorities, you know, come what may, and particularly with the station rehabilitation. So, but I think that there will be there's resources available from the borough president that sort of speaks to the process writ large, the annual process at the community boards, and that's helpful. And then hopefully there'll be an overview that's given at the public session for that's mandatory for all of us, where the public also has a chance to sort of say what, if they have things that they want to suggest, but that it's all sort of presented. So there will be
One more
support.
comment, Jay, you have a misapprehension. Our committee tonight didn't come up with anything new, but we could have. And if I decided, for example, that the stairs that go from wherever to wherever are falling apart, we could make that a new item. And other committees you will see do that. So that's actually part of this very process.
Right. And we did a big one of those because we had been carrying a lot of stuff forward for a lot of years. And then, so we went through like 2 years ago and kind of recast our whole thing. So this year it's looking like we're going to be lighter with fundamental changes than we usually are. But on that point, I just did add, because now that I said it out loud, it's bothering me, the project that we had, the DOT had presented and we resolved on, but it's never come to fruition, at least not as of now. So I wrote implement proposed changes on Riverside Drive, north of 165, south of 179, at entrances and exits of Trans Manhattan Expressway and Henry Hudson Parkway. Okay. All right, so we're about to have a going, gone in terms of adding anything.
Right. Does anyone have anything to add that you notice in your part of the neighborhood? Like, you know, oh, they need a thing there from the DOT. But only the green kind.
Okay. All right, so Jim, I can't remember, do we have to input our individual rankings now while we're in session?
Yes.
Mary's like, I can't do that. Mary, you're on mute.
Well, Mary can just tell you her stuff. And the rest of us, if you can get this thing up on the Google Docs, we can just do our column. I think that's what we did last year.
Wait. Say that again, Jim?
Sorry, I just have to change. I just realized I didn't update the title, and then I will share my screen. Okay.
So you're editing the spreadsheet.
Yeah, so if everybody can click on the link that I sent you, but I'm going to share my screen. 1 second.
I couldn't open that.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, that's why you can tell what you're voting directly to Debbie and she'll type it in for you. And then those of us.
We never did that before.
No,
we did.
We did
We
because
did that
I
last
remember,
year,
like, for anybody that wasn't at the meeting, they couldn't do it later.
No, you're really supposed to do it now.
I'm losing you for some reason. I'm not sure.
So, okay, but let me just,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Because now I also need to take off after I spend the time putting them on. Hector Bonilla is not here. Robin Cruz is not here. I think everybody else, let me.
What time did you send this thing?
I I just sent the link.
No,
but-
no, oh, you just sent a new one. Right, yeah.
Sorry, let me just get rid of some columns.
This is really kind of hard for me to do on my phone.
Well, no, you can do it out loud with Debbie. That's the whole thing. You don't have to do it on your phone.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. So just, I'm gonna recap what's on the Capitol. And everybody just scratch on a piece
Oh,
of
I
paper
found-
the order that they want to rank it, and then either input it yourself. So 1 being your top priority, and it's gonna go 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is 8 projects, so 1 through 8.
How did we get to 8 projects? This is on Capital? Or
Capital.
Science?
I just have an extra, sorry, I have an
Let me
extra
see.
ref,
Oh, okay, wait.
which I
1,
can,
2, 3,
let me
4,
try,
5,
let me try to get rid
7,
of.
8. Okay, so all we did was take off the 174th Street thing?
One sec. Yeah, I think that was the only one. I took off the Capital. And we added 1, and then for anybody, so I'm just gonna be quiet for a few minutes so I can do mine, and then anybody that needs me to input, like Jay or whomever else, I can do so.
It won't,
Okay.
it won't let me type. What do I do?
Really?
Yeah. I see it, but
I wonder if it's something about because I've shared, because you're all editors on this thing.
no.
I can do it. Can you see it?
Yeah, you, I see that you did it, but I can't do anything. And Jimenez has done it too.
It says you're an editor.
It says you're an editor,
No.
but
Huh. Very strange.
Debbie, do you want to, am I allowed to be shared on the document even though I'm not the original committee member, or?
Yeah, sure. You can look at it. You can't vote. I don't think. No, the ranking is done by
no,
the
it's
committee.
only the committee can do the ranking.
Right. Why doesn't this damn thing work?
I can't do anything either. First of
Barb.
all, I can't see the top of the document.
Well, sorry,
How do I?
sorry, wait, I just realized what's happening.
So I don't know
You
where my
have to
name is.
launch the link yourself on your, in a browser window.
Oh, I got it to work.
You
I had
can't
to turn
enter
on
it
something.
on the screen of the Zoom. You've got to go and launch it from the link.
But if I do that, and then I'm off
No, you just
I'm off the
press
meeting.
escape.
If I try to do that, I can't go to my.
Mary, if you press escape on your computer, it'll back out but keep you on the Zoom.
I don't know how to do that, Jay. You have to be here to show me.
It's really the
All right.
button on the
This is
top
all
left
when
of
I'm
your
old,
computer.
okay?
All right, Mary, just you do yours on the side. We'll come back to you.
Yeah, I had to just turn on some switch in my software, and now I can. I had to turn on something called suggest changes, and now I can do it.
Called what?
Suggest changes. It was a toggle switch.
I don't see anything like that anywhere.
Yeah, well,
And actually, while that's going on, Debbie, have you finished voting?
Not yet. One sec. All right, Jay, I am ready.
I don't remember what I put in last year, but let's assume it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my voting.
Okay, but you have I added the one about the changes on Riverside by the Trans-Manhattan Expressway and the Henry Hudson entrances and exits, like around 100, like 70th equivalent.
Okay. And yes,
and that's part of the ranking. It wasn't there last year.
oh,
I don't, unless I can see the whole thing together, I don't know how I can do this, because I don't have all the,
Okay, so have
items together.
okay, so the 8, but you've launched the link on your own in a browser?
I can't unless I get off the meeting.
You don't have to get off the meeting.
I don't know how to do it otherwise, Debbie.
Okay. All right. So as a recap, just write down the following.
Huh?
ADA accessibility. Upper roadway Riverside Drive, 158 to 165.
Okay.
That project down on Riverside by the entrances to like Trans-Manhattan and, you know, like everything kind of below the bridge.
What
Okay.
happened to 157th? We take that out?
Wait 1 second, I'm still going.
Yeah, I know, but that was next
Okay.
on the original list.
Rehab of the 181st Street A station.
they are doing that.
I have nothing on my screen right now. My screen is blank.
Okay.
Aren't they currently rehabbing the 181st Street station?
No, they're making it ADA accessible and they're replacing escalators. The station is not getting a facelift.
Okay.
Same for 168th A train, same for 207 IRT. And then the last two are funding new lighting in parks and along Greenway and sustainability repairs to the 157th Street 1 station to reduce vulnerability to extreme weather events. So those are the 8.
Debbie, I can't do this. I have no screen. I don't.
All right.
I'm not seeing anything.
I'll just, you send me yours in whatever form you can. Can we say
I can't.
like by tomorrow?
Debbie, I don't have the items.
Can you just get it to me by
Debbie.
tomorrow at a certain time?
Well, I cannot. I do not have the items.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Since everyone else has it up and she doesn't, just exit out, go back to the regular screen so she knows how to get to the web browser.
All right, or like, just do it after the meeting. And I know you were here, so I will do it. Like, Jay, can you give me a ranking on your 8 or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, just do it the same. As I voted last year would be the simplest. And add the additions below those numerically.
I don't know how I got cut off from the meeting altogether.
You can't see it at all.
I have my screen is blue. It's pretty blue, but it's blue. Blank.
All right. All right. We'll figure you out. I just want to copy Jay's stuff in from last year. Okay. So Jay, you had ADA 7, Riverside Drive 2. Oh, you had ranked 174th Street 1 and that went away. 181st IND.
My 2 then becomes a 1.
All right, I'm not sure I can do all this, but
Debbie, what if I email it directly to Mary Anderson and see maybe just a list, and she can give you her ranking, reading it out loud from her end.
okay.
Let me try that at least.
I'm still gonna have to get off the meeting to get the email. So that's not really gonna help anybody. As it is, I'm off the meeting right now anyway. Can't see anything. Can you still see me on the screen?
Yeah. All right, Jay, where do you said you want to put the Riverside Drive and Trans Manhattan work, just whatever comes out last?
The Analyze River Drive roadway, which was number 2 last year, would become.
No. The one that's to implement the project that we resolved on. About Riverside Drive, kind of north of 165, but south of 179th for all those there aren't crosswalks, but like all those for the pedestrian access to the Fort Washington Park, but also to be able to get across all those entrances and exit ramps, where right now as a pedestrian, you've just kind of put your life in your hands.
Yeah. I guess we'd have to rank that last. Would be the simplest. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm almost there on J.
Jim, you have 2 1 2 3s.
Wait, one second, or else I'm gonna lose the whole thing. Hold on.
I'm just talking to Jim.
Okay. Did I not put mine in the right? And no, I've only done.
I'm gonna look at what I did.
There are 11 items. You need to go up to 11.
No. The capital only has 8. The expense is a separate ranking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No problem. But thank you.
I'll fix that.
Yeah. No, and I haven't done, so on the expense, just to read out for Jay and Mary's benefit, we just had increased funding for the subway stations as it relates to maintenance, repairs, and cleaning, a traffic study for Fort Washington between 165 and 170, and a traffic study.
Debbie, can you do them in order? Because, from this whole sheet, because it's confusing. I can't see anything.
I only have the spreadsheet that we as a committee worked, how it ended up in the final ranking. I don't have it that way. So, but it looks like there's only 3 projects. So and then it's a traffic study at 207. So we're only ranking 3 things on the express side, 2 traffic studies
Right.
and the maintenance kitty.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
No, no problem. No, I mean, you have it, so.
Can Mary see what your spreadsheet on her screen? Because you can just go in.
I have nothing on my screen. My screen is blank.
Oh, that's the
Weird.
problem.
That's what I've been saying.
Uh-huh.
But you're saying you've got Zoom like in the browser. See, mine launches kind of like it's its own application, like its own app sort of. And I think that's why the rest of us can toggle back and forth a little more easily than you can. So,
But the point is, I can't see anybody. I can't see the committee members. I'm not,
do you want to sign out and come back in? So at least you could see us?
it's very hard for me to do, Debbie. I'm right-handed and I only
Yeah,
have one
all
hand
right.
to work with, I
So
managed
why
to get on, but it took me 20 minutes to get on to begin with.
No, I appreciate that you've hung in the way you have, because I don't know how you're doing it with your writing hand out of whack and you're sitting there with OMB responses telling me somehow reading off all of it. So why don't you and I connect tomorrow and then we'll figure out a way to pull in your ranking. And that's it. And then I'll append the total on this and get it forward. And worst case scenario, if people get like a brainwave on something that we should have had here and it's a great idea, I mean, things do get added at that public meeting, so we have another bite at this apple.
But I have no bite because I don't know what got eliminated or anything because I had to go to the bathroom.
Well, don't.
That was a problem, I know, but I missed the whole discussion.
But
now I have nothing.
But when you launch the link like in your own browser, you'll be able to see.
Wait, Debbie, repeat.
Sorry,
I have hearing aids also.
After the meeting, not tonight, but like tomorrow, if you have a chance.
No, it's gonna have to be tonight because tomorrow I'm booked. Well.
Okay. Just click on when we're not on the Zoom meeting, then just click on the link that I sent you to the document. And now it's cleaner, it's a little easier to get around. And if you want, you have 2 choices. What you may want to do, which maybe I did with somebody last year, is print it out. It should print on 2 pages and handwrite it and just like take a picture on your phone and text it to me, or
Debbie.
Yeah.
One hand.
What would be a form that do you think could work? Or do you want to know?
Why doesn't she call you later on the telephone? So she'll have the sheet on her screen ideally, and then you 2 can talk on the telephone.
Okay.
And then we can do it tonight, unless you're both sleepy.
I'm a little asleep, but Jim, are you a night owl? Can Mary call you and give them to you?
Yeah, I suppose.
But when I go on that link, shouldn't I be able to put my ratings?
You should be, but you can always reserve the right to like whatever works for you, really. But you should be able to just go in.
I don't know at this point what's going to work.
All right. So
well, if you can't do it, if you go to the link and you can't put them in, then call me.
Yeah.
Make sure I have your phone number.
We're seeing Debbie's computer screen.
I see nothing.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
sorry,
the rest
sorry,
of
sorry,
us are. Yeah.
Oy. Sorry, I'm having a little. All right, I'm going to unshare now.
I have your numbers.
Very good. Don't
Okay,
call me at 4 a.m. That's too late.
I'll be calling you in the next, well, whatever time we finish.
Well, you
Okay.
have to figure out your rankings, right? Or do you know already?
That won't take me long. That'll take me about a minute.
Okay.
I
and
just
then
have
you-
to know what I'm
then-
ranking because I don't know what I'm ranking right now. I don't have the list.
Well, read them.
I don't
Some of
have
them
the
you like
revised
more,
list.
some of them you won't like.
Huh?
And then if you
Okay.
can't put them in, call me.
all right, thanks, Jim. I'm sorry,
Sure.
I have now, for some reason, I'm having trouble with my video, but, oops,
You just haven't unshared your screen that we can see. But whatever. Are we basically done?
I think we are done.
Ah, there we are. We can see Mary. Mary can't see us. Ha ha
I
ha
sure
ha.
can.
Very strange.
I know, I've never had this happen before.
All right.
Oh, there's just no telling what bad software can do. You're
Huh?
lucky it's not upside down.
All right, so just one more thing, which I think I said in the email, we are once again sort of without a contacted MTA. They just keep shifting around and whatnots, but hopefully by they will be able to be here for an update in November.
Yeah, I figured
Um,
Marcus was temporary.
Marcus retired.
That's what I figured, but they probably pulled him back, or maybe, yeah, right.
They gave us another name last week in the beginning of the week, and then by Friday he's like, oh, they decided to reassign, not do it. It was like a new guy, and they're like, he's like, no, actually I was pulled off CB12, and so then in the interim they sometimes give me to the boss, which is great, but then he
They're
doesn't
not gonna
stay
come.
with us, so it's
Yeah.
I just would like the music to stop. All right, so thanks for everybody.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult. Just
You're
trying to
not
get
being
the
difficult.
Job done.
I
you know?
appreciate everything you've done. I really do. I don't know how you're doing it. All right, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn,
I
or I
second.
second, one or the other.
And Bruce is like, all right, thanks, everybody. Take care. See you soon.